Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good Friday, more like Great Friday, because I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and this is a non-censored Time for Questions special. Hello, and welcome to Non-Censored, the podcast that usually wraps up all the best bits from my very real daily radio show into one easy-to-digest highlights package. But this week, we're going to be answering your questions once again. Thank you to those who sent them in. And if you have any more, do send them to noncensoredpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll do another one of these in a few weeks or so. I'm joined for a change by producer Martin. Martin, where have you been?
Well, Centre Parks and A&E mainly, yeah.
Pathetic. I'm also joined by Eshaan Akbar. Eshaan, how are you?
Oh, I'm so well. You'll be very happy to know that I have been to neither Centre Parks nor A&E ever in my life.
Oh, Eshaan, that warms my soul. Now let's get started. Right, Martin, what are the questions?
Well, our first question is from Ryan. Okay, he says, my question is, when can we expect the transition of the BBC to the Bring Back Control channel, starting with the name change?
Oh, well, that is a great question, Ryan. Thank you very much. Eshaan, let's start with you. What do you think? When can we expect the transition of the BBC to the Bring Back Control channel?
Well, before I answer, is that Ryan Reynolds? Does he listen to our podcast?
Oh, do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised
either. So,
yeah.
Ryan, if you're listening, I mean, you can bring back control whenever you want. You've done such a wonderful job with Wrexham AFC. You brought back control to the football club there. But in terms of the BBC more generally, look, I would say in many ways it already has brought back control. If you cast your mind back to a few weeks ago, that whiny, wokey Gary Lineker, there he was. And what did Tim Davie, the Director General, or he should change his name to Dictator General, am I right? He really, really laid down the law, brought back control.
No, but Eshaan, he didn't. We've been through this. You keep forgetting. The BBC actually, they quivered. They quivered and fell under the woke. So to begin with, they were like, no, Gary, get off our screens. And then all the wokies got all upset and all the footballers decided to be wokey too. And then, so at the moment, the BBC is in a weird transitional stage, isn't it? Where on the one hand, it wants to do the right thing. It wants to do what the government wants and help us. And
I think you're right that the BBC did quiver, but I think it was a very clever ploy, because if you think about it, when Gary Lineker wasn't presenting, who was? Mark Dolan at GB News. And now the ratings of the actual match of the day have fallen. The alternative match of the day on GB News is where we all go for our hot football content. We hear about rainbow flags and wokerati, and actually that's the way you bring back control. Divert viewership to GB News.
And also, I mean, Our Soccer Sunday. Do you remember? Producer Martin, did Our Soccer Sunday also we got about 2 more listeners, didn't we?
Well, we were delivering something that the people hadn't heard before. You know, we were pioneering a new type of audio journalism. I think that's what we were doing. Whereas, I hate to call out other media providers, but I just don't think GB News has had the quality. And also, I've got to say, I unless you think that Tim Davie is some kind of sleeper agent from the Tory government put in there in order to bring down the BBC, which is a very cynical thing to think, it's not in their best interest to drive away viewers. That's what I'd say.
They don't want to drive away viewers.
Listen, the way you bring back control in any aspect of British life is to drive everything away. Refugees, the economy, TV channels, just drive it all away. We don't need any of it. What is Great Britain with these things? We're better off without. Scotland, get rid. Northern Ireland, get rid.
Yeah. But that might do Wales as well.
Yeah, Wales.
Yeah.
When was the last time anyone went to Cardiff? Get rid of everything. Just keep England, bring back control, let England float by itself like an island within an island.
That's actually quite a beautiful
sort of
the image there, an island within an island.
But let's get back to the BBC, because I think the BBC is too woke, actually. I think Tim Davie tried, he failed. And actually, they've got a very sort of lefty liberal bias. And I think I think the BBC will die before it becomes.
Well, I think the transition's already begun. I mean, right now, if you think of the BBC as, say, male presenting overall,
yes.
At the moment, the BBC is donning a wig, right on its way to a full transition to becoming a woman.
It's always good to bring trans issues into this. Yes.
I'm starting to get quite nervous about the where this conversation is going. I mean, more so than when we were just discussing the freedom of the media. Although it does raise an interesting issue that, like, if we were to be compromised. Yeah, I mean, what would we do? Would if someone was trying to censor the non-censored team? I mean,
we wouldn't let that happen, Martin.
Would we quiver?
Yeah, we'd say no.
Yeah.
No, sorry. We say what we want. We say what the people want. We say what the people think. You can't censor what the people think.
Also, it's in the name, non-censored. You can't censor something that's called non-censored.
Yes. And actually, this question, I mean, they raise a good point, which is, it says we can expect the transition starting with the name change to the Bring Back Control channel. Maybe what the BBC need to do is maybe if the Tory government could put some more pressure on the BBC, because they are good at doing that, and get them to change the name first, then the rest would follow.
Would it be the Bring Back Control channel, or would it be Bring Back channel? BBC? Would it be the BBCC? Or would it be the BBC?
You'd have to add an extra C, I think.
That could be problematic.
The BBCC.
Oh, it sounds quite... Well, you've already got CBBS. You see what they did there. But
the voiceover... Watch CBBS on BBCC.
But BBCC, I suppose it could show that it's a new dawn. We could finally, instead of just putting David Attenborough's shows on iPlayer, we could just get rid of them altogether.
Yes.
Well... I've got to say, without waiting...
Bye David program and send him off his way, and he could go on. If he really wanted, he could go on BBC4, because who watches that?
Yes.
Without returning too far to the trans debate,
the BBCC could also be other acronyms like Bye Bye Climate
Change.
Climate Change. No. Bye Bye Climate Connoisseurs.
Yes.
I've got to say, without returning to the trans debate too much, people are a little scared of extra letters being put next to each other.
Bye-bye Chinese chickens.
I feel like anything more than a BBC, people might start kicking off big time in the streets. So that's something we want to avoid.
But Martin, it's time for a change. We've got to make the BBC better we defund the BBC, and we get some good investors, and I think maybe we get Rupert Murdoch to take over.
Interesting. We have another question here from one of our viewers. If you're ready for it,
yes,
okay,
already.
This one's from Joel, and he simply says,
"Really?"
And he simply says, #Justice for producer Martin.
What?
I mean, that's what he That's what he says. That's
what's the question there, Martin?
Yeah, more of a comment, that one, I suppose. It's but thought I should read
this
it
isn't
out.
This isn't a comment section. This is a question section.
It's a question, sensible question.
We're asking,
our
answering
listeners
questions.
should be sensible, and this sounds like, I don't know, some troll. Actually, to be honest with you, it sounds like a left wing.
Joel the troll.
Troll the troll coming in, trying to mess things around. Justice for producer Martin. Do you need justice from? Can I just remind Joel that producer Martin has just been fannying around on holiday for 2 weeks?
Well, I don't know if I call it fannying.
What do you need justice for? Who are you, Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yes.
Okay, this is backfired.
What have you been doing?
I've also never
Having
heard
fun
that
in the
stressing of her
hospital
name, which is
canteen.
quite...
Eshaan, earlier, producer Martin last week, he FaceTimed me he was having an absolute riot in the hospital canteen.
Unbelievable. For goodness sake.
Well,
he was eating crisps. And
it was quite traumatic. Listen,
because there was a crying child on you. I'm sorry, but
this is all backfired quite badly. So I'm just going to push on to the next question, which is it's actually a two-parter. The first one coming from John, which is Boris Johnson the greatest UK politician ever?
Yes.
Next question.
And I would go with probably not. Hard to say, but probably not. But that's
all
right.
Let's hear your viewpoint. You've been off, having an jolly old time in hospital.
But
your brain might be a bit
children's
addled.
Ward. It's actually a pretty scary and sad place to be. But that's, by the by.
Okay. Everyone has their own opinions on holidays. So, why do you think that Boris Johnson isn't the greatest Prime Minister, producer Martin?
Listen, I'm not here to point fingers or call names, but there have been one or two, handfuls of fairly well documented cases of him lying to the public, abusing his power, engaging in corrupt action.
Sorry, producer Martin, I'm going to stop you there. No, I'm going to stop you there. I don't know if maybe you missed this because you were, laughing it up in the children's ward, but Michael Gove said that Boris Johnson was a man of integrity.
Yeah.
So,
and also, every Prime Minister has lied. Yes? Tony Blair, Iraq, Gordon Brown, the economy, David Cameron, student fees, Nick Clegg, student fees.
Yeah.
Everyone lies. That is just a given. You know who didn't lie? Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, Margaret Thatcher never lied. She was, what a woman. We'll never see her like again. Actually, I'm going to revise my answer, actually. Is Boris Johnson the greatest Prime Minister after Maggie Thatcher?
Okay, taking second place.
Yeah, he's taken second place. But he is, he was, absolutely wonderful man. And how he's been persecuted, I think is absolutely horrific. It's like when they took that poor king and they stuck a poker up his ass.
It's quite an evocative comparison there. Yeah, we do actually have a follow-up question here from Amanda, which discusses that very issue.
Oh,
really.
Amanda. It would be, yeah.
It would be Amanda.
It would be Amanda.
Amanda says,
"Yep.
How did Boris feel when the long, strong arm of the law from behind Sue Gray connected with his shoulders? Did it make him regret ignoring Chris Whitty again? Did it make him reward Sue Dick with an extended contract?"
Interesting.
It's a lot of different questions right there.
A lot of different questions.
So I suppose we can only speculate
them up
Boris
so we can answer each question in.
Yeah. So the first one was, how did Boris feel when the long, strong arm of the law from behind Sue Gray connected with his shoulders?
Yes.
Well, Amanda, I don't know if you remember, but actually, the Sue Gray report was very fair, and she is a woman of integrity. But also, she is a Keir Starmer stooge.
Right.
So
yes.
She's not.
Both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably felt quite bad for him, but was it long overdue? Yes. Also. That's what I say.
I think that, Boris has the weight of the world on his shoulders. He probably didn't feel it. And you've got that when you're carrying that much on your shoulders and the long, strong arm of the law finds its way to you. Actually,
he does not strike me as a man with a great deal of weight on his shoulders. I think he sleeps very well at night because there's an absolute absence of any kind of care.
Well, Martin, I mean, I don't know about you. I don't really think about how other people sleep. I think it's a bit creepy, actually.
It's a bit creepy.
What to think about? Why is that creepy?
I don't know why you do that. It's
almost
like, yeah. He was our former Prime Minister, I think, Martin. I think you should
I'm not going to do anything in his sleep. I'm not watching him in his sleep. That would be creepy.
No, but you're thinking about it. Like, you're thinking about a man sleeping.
Who are you?
He's a tired man. He has a lot of children, a lot of work.
Well, I wasn't imagining him in, a negligee or a nightie.
I'm
saying that's what I wasn't. I wasn't imagining him.
Martin,
you haven't said that word.
You don't need that. Come on.
What, negligee?
Say that word.
Martin, I know this is non-censored, but sometimes
French.
you really push the boundaries.
Why did you just say that word? You can't say that word.
It's a beautiful French nightgown.
Oh, negligee.
Anyway,
okay.
The second part of the question was, did it make him regret ignoring Chris Whitty again?
No. Who really? I mean, look at Chris Whitty. I mean, who's really going to care about ignoring him? If he was sat next to me at a party, do you know what? I'd probably, I don't know, throw a fish at him or something.
Sorry, what is a Chris Whitty?
He was the guy.
Cast your mind back to the year and a half that we all spent indoors. Eshaan.
He was like, look at this graph. Isn't this a great graph? Have another graph. And we were going, just let us stop interrupting our lockdown cheese and wine party,
He was the cool doctor telling us to stay safe.
Oh, he's a very dour-looking fellow. He's very unmemorable.
Exactly.
Well, he's no Van Tam, but I think he was still pretty important.
Boris was fun. Also, he was conducting parties to keep up people's morale.
Precisely. And no one can be Claude Van Tam.
No.
Did it make him reward Sue Dick with an extended contract? Well, I mean, that's up for speculation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what I want to know is who is Sue Dick? And that's quite sinister in itself. And maybe she's I don't know, she's sort of someone in the shadows. Who is Sue Dick? I think, Amanda, that's our question to you. Who is
I can tell you
Sue
what do you do? What do you do when your man doesn't satisfy you? You Sue Dick.
Sue Dick is a fully qualified dental nurse.
That was very
with
naughty,
over 20
that one.
years of experience.
I'm sorry.
Producer Martin might have to edit that one out. Don't do that, Martin.
All right. Right, the next question comes from Rich. Rich asks, why? Why are you here? What added value do you bring to the table? Well, I suppose that's 3 questions, but you could ask them all in the same sentence.
Who are you, Rich?
Richards, that's...
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you question? How dare you question, Rich, what we are doing here? What do we bring to the table? We bring truth to the table, Rich. We bring free speech. We bring facts. Well, the good facts. We bring figures. We bring intelligent conversation. We bring brilliant guests. We bring hope to the British people. We bring hope, Rich. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that not welcome at the table? Is hope not welcome at the table?
This is very moving.
I'm sorry, Rich.
I think when this goes out, I'm going to put a nice heartwarming, patriotic soundtrack behind that, I think.
Yes, if you could, actually, that would be really good.
Maybe some cannons at the end.
We also bring diversity.
Yes.
To showcase, the various opinions and colours and creeds and backgrounds, all the things we tolerate.
Yes.
Tolerates very well.
Yes.
Yes. I'm being tolerated.
We are. We tolerate you every week, really.
Yeah, every week I'm tolerated.
Yeah.
And that's what we bring to the table. I don't specifically bring anything to the table. Just because I'm brown doesn't mean I have to bring things to the table. That's not.
No, you do have to bring things to the table. To bring things to the table.
I'm just talking about it as a kind of idea.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes. No, sorry. I thought you meant metaphorically. Yes. No, you don't have to bring anything actually to the table. Unless you want to.
I don't.
Then I wouldn't say no. Well, you might cook a nice meal that you want to bring to the table.
Any particular meal you're thinking of?
Well, what about it? A chicken tikka masala.
Oh, why would I? That I don't know how to make that. That wasn't.
It's just a delicious dish.
It's really very good. Or you can bring a korma.
I've just realised Rich Shepherd's might actually be asking this question because he's just stumbled onto Spotify or wherever he gets his podcasts, and he's never listened to a podcast before. So that could be the case here, which I imagine if you hadn't encountered one, it would be quite scary.
Right. Okay. Well,
and there's so many to choose from.
Yes, if that is what you meant, Rich, then
I suppose it's just sharing ideas, Richard.
Yes, come on board.
We're here because people enjoy, sharing ideas and talking. I mean, people love talking and listening. Yes. That's the other half, isn't it?
Yes. And then Rich, you can give us, a 5-star review, a rating, and a like, and it will help more people find the podcast the way you have.
Or you could start a fan podcast talking about this podcast. That'd be quite fun.
Or you could start a no context non-censored account where you click things that we say out of context, and it's very funny.
Oh, that would go down so well on social media. Let's do it.
Yes, context non-censored.
No context non-censored, and our fans will love that, and nothing could possibly go wrong. When has anything been cut out of context and put on the internet ever gone badly for anyone?
Yeah, no, never.
I think get on that,
never,
producer
ever.
Martin. Start doing that.
All right, I'll see what I can do. The next question comes from Frankie.
Oh, Frankie. Okay.
And Benny.
Benny may or may not have been involved in the formation of the question, but this mainly comes from Frankie. They say, I bet you're all thrilled Sir Keir Starmer of Sir Labour Party had quoted our ultimate warrior queen, darling Maggie Thatcher, in his latest speech. Finally, a democratic socialist party is acknowledging such a champion of socialism and democracy. Well done, sir. That's what Frankie had to say.
This was when he said an expression of individual liberty, our rights and responsibilities, but also of justice, of fairness, of equality, one rule for all. That's what we're saying here. I mean, that sounds, good for Keir Starmer, I think. I mean, we've had him on this show a number of times. I mean, you're good friends with him, Martin. Have you talked to him about this?
No, we tend to keep things light. I think he's dealing with politics during the day. So in the evenings, we both subscribe to a metal boat society.
Right.
There's he was telling some jokes about Sylvanian families just the other day. That was a lot of fun.
That just sounds horrible.
We have little sort of we try a different ice cream every week. That's just a fun thing.
No, I don't want to hear anymore.
It's just nice that Sir Keir Starmer has finally added some diversity to the Labour Party by quoting a woman.
Yes, that is true. I mean,
the top of the Labour Party.
Yes, we don't want too many of them in there, but I think if we quote the best one. And he was talking about being tough on crime. That's what he was saying. He was saying that Margaret Thatcher had a good point. And I just think, well, Keir, she had a good point on lots of things, actually. And maybe this will open a little doorway. If he can see that she was right about one thing, he'll see that she was right about more things. And I think that would be absolutely wonderful.
And nowadays, people don't drink cow milk anyway.
No, they don't.
So she was ahead of her time.
I suppose that is one way of looking at it. Yeah, that is quite progressive, really. Our next question comes from Debbie. Debbie asks, Harriet, does it ever worry you that you might sometimes be wrong?
Well, Debbie, I'd like you to know that no, it doesn't, because I accept when I'm wrong. Do you know what? I hold my hands up, and I'm not afraid to hold my hands up and go, yes, actually, I was wrong. I was wrong about that, and it will surprise some people. It will surprise some people to know that I think that. But the other day, I made myself some tea, and I realized I wanted coffee, and I held my hands up, and I went, well, I made a mistake. I tweeted about it. I don't know if you saw that, producer Martin and Eshaan Akbar.
Yes,
but I tweeted that. I tweeted. I said, "Look, I hold my hands up. I'm not afraid to say when I was wrong." And I had a little photo of my cup of tea.
And that is what sets you apart from so many other people in Britain, may I just say, Harriet, because nowadays in politics and society, what is a mistake but an opportunity for an inquiry?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
That's it.
Very, very good. Very true.
So, you don't bother with inquiries. You deal with the problem at the time. If you make a mistake, Yes. And we have had successive inquiries which lead to little or no action. And this is why Harriet is able to hold the government to task, because she is a completer finisher, a doer.
Yes.
She ensures she sees things through the end. Mm-hmm. She climaxes. She reaches the climax.
Wow.
Of every.
Okay.
I don't know if we should.
Right.
We got the idea. We got the gist there.
But it's true. And I mean, I with inquiries, I'm going to shock you here, but I have had a few people try and launch inquiries against me in various incarnations of my jobs. And, I just dig in, find something wrong with the people who are trying to do it and discredit them, good old fashioned British way.
That is the old fashioned way. Yeah. Next up, we have David, who, David says,
"Hi, Harriet. David Gress here again. As I said before, I used to work in the mines, and I was on the picket line, fighting the good fight and striking for my right to keep working underground. But then the Tories doubled down and decimated my valley, taking away our community's way of life. I haven't seen that level of unity against evil for a long, long time. That is, until I saw the pictures from France over the last few weeks. Seeing them striking at the rate that they are over their pension gives me a lot of hope. The working class should always be able to have a voice that can't be silenced in order to have a fairer society for all. But of course, I wouldn't want to pass you and Eshaan and the rest of GB Talk to shoot them down for sticking up for what they believe in. You bunch of wannabe milk snatchers. Anyway, here's my question. If you could be in any TV show for a month, real or fictional, which one would you choose and why? And if there's a character you'd like to be on that show, who would you be? Marvin, as ever, feel free to get stuck in, but ta-ra!
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a very good question.
Thank you, David. That's a corker.
Yes.
I mean, Eshaan, you strike me as someone you're a TV person. You must know the shows, the characters. Who would you like to be?
Well, I think I'd really like to be a loose woman.
Oh, Eshaan, you would be great.
Nice.
I would love to be a loose woman.
You would be fantastic.
You would be really, really wonderful. That is what that show needs.
Yes, it needs me to be a loose woman on it. I think I could really embody the characters. I could play all of them, and I would want to wear those nice dresses. They wear
a sort of one-man loose women, where you're playing all of the parts.
Yes, maybe a loose them. But there's many of us.
Right, but all performed by you.
Yes. Like Eddie Murphy in the Nutty Professor sequels.
Not the original Nutty Professor, just the sequels.
Just the sequels, no.
Right, okay, good. Well, that's a strong and well thought out answer. Harriet?
Thank you.
I would want to be Princess Diana in The Crown.
Very good. Okay. Wow. And what do you think you'd do differently with that role?
I just look at Princess Diana and will I really see myself, really, if I'm honest? And I don't like to get vulnerable on this podcast, but yes, I am the people's princess. I do a lot. I'm fun. I'm pretty. I have a husband who doesn't understand me. And sometimes I go and point at sick people,
Wow. So, and the landmines, have you done anything for the victims of the landmines?
I mean, if there's one there, I'll sort of, I'll tell you what, Martin, if there's a landmine, as long as you go over it first, then I will follow.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's quite a terrifying idea. I think my TV show would probably be it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because there's just so many good TV shows.
There's a lot of good TV shows. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. I really liked Mr. Ben Did you ever watch Mr. Ben?
With the changing hats?
Yes, I sometimes wish I was Mr. Ben and I could just go off into a fancy dress shop and I could go and have an adventure, get dressed up as a sort of pirate and then go out and swash. But I think basically I just like fancy dress parties. I suppose
you
I
can
could
do
just
that
throw
now.
Martin, did you think though, because Mr. Ben, used to go and be things, but I mean, if you became a pirate, someone would probably kill you within the first 2 minutes, wouldn't it?
Well, it was always quite a friendly quest. You see, there wasn't any true peril. I mean, there was a dragon at one point, but which I suppose is a bit dangerous. I never encountered one myself, but it was more sort of. Do you know there was only 12 episodes? Only 12 episodes ever made. Isn't that astonishing?
I just think maybe you should do something safe, like Nick Knowles' program or something like that.
Oh, I'd love to be on anything Nick Knowles is on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can I change my answer? I think I'd rather be on Ground Force, but in the early days when you had the classic lineup,
Right. Well,
me and Dimmock putting in a water feature.
Yes. Okay. Well, you still haven't finished trimming the bushes in my garden, so maybe one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Right, okay.
Well, thank you, everybody, for all those questions. They were absolutely wonderful. And do keep them coming into noncensoredpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll do another one in the near future. In the meantime, thank you to Rosie Hall, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan, Akbar, and Ed Morris. And we'll be back next week with a regular episode of Non-Censored.